So Mary, it's lovely to be here and have the chance to talk to you. And I'm just, as I'm sitting here thinking over the past, and then I'm realising that you're in Belfast. How long? I mean, how long are you Sister of St. Louis, first of all?
55 years.
Imagine, 55 years. And how many of those have been in Belfast?
40 something.
Right.
Since 1971.
1971,
Yes,
right up until the present.
45.
Mm. So you've seen a lot of changes in Belfast. You've been through many experiences.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm. So I know that one of your experiences was your time as chaplain in the hospital. So maybe tell me something about that, would you? Tell me how it was for you.
I suppose I got more out of it than I gave, because the patients, the faith of the patients was something unreal, really, you know, and I was so glad myself to get the job after I left school.
It was in the city, was it? Was it the city hospital?
The city hospital, yes, and you got to know the patients. The wards that I had were wards for cystic fibrosis, and they would be in and out, so you got to know some of the youngsters there.
You'd have patients coming back and repeat patients and that. Yeah.
And then another ward, 10, leukemia and hematology, and they were in and out as well, and that. So you got to know the patients, and there was a lovely atmosphere in the hospital, as well as, and in the wards too. It was kind of a family kind of, the particular wards I was in, because of coming in and out, you know.
And what did your day consist of? I know there mightn't have been any typical day, but what was a day in the hospital like?
Well, I was supposed to be in about 8 o'clock.
Really, that early?
Yeah, and get your lists. And we didn't take the printed list with us. We wrote out our list on a diary or whatever, and that was good too, because it meant that you could look back and see when people were in, or how long it is since they were in, and you know, you'd have something to start off with when you visited them another time. But anyway, to come back to what you did, you took down your list and probably had a cup of coffee and went to the wards about 10 to 9. And we didn't come down then until about 10 past 12 for Mass at 12:15. You rarely got finished earlier than that. So that was it.
Right. And when you look back on those, what do you think you got from it? You said you got more than you gave. You mentioned the faith of the patients, and
it energized you and gave you the courage yourself to go on, I think, and that, you know, it was worthwhile sharing faith with the people, you know. Yeah.
And how long were you in the city for, Mary?
12 years, I think.
Wow, right, great.
And I haven't signed off yet, but I think I'll have to. The priest in charge at the time said that he would leave my name on the system so that I could come back whenever I was ready, or do a day here and there if somebody got sick. But at the moment I can't even do that. So, but I'm leaving myself on the list, and they know that. You know, so even though it's voluntary, your name is on the system somewhere in the hospital, you know.
Right.
And so I got a phone call about that recently, actually, just to see, you know, was I still working. So I explained the situation, and she said, yes, you're on the database and I'll leave you on, you know.
Okay.
But I don't know whether I'll ever get back or not,
Right.
but I would like to.
Yeah. So tell me, Mary, life in Belfast, and when you look back over the years, you came in the early 70s, and here you are. There have been many, many changes. So when you reflect on that, what comes to you?
I'm not a person for going back over things. During the Troubles, you know, you would be, during the night you'd hear the news, in the morning you would hear the news, and then you go and look out the window and things went on as if nothing had happened. you brought stability to school, to the children in school, because you didn't ignore what was going on, but at the same time you didn't dwell on it and you didn't talk to them about it. You just went on as if everything was okay. Nothing comes to mind. I'm that kind of person that I just get on with it. And
you don't dwell on the past in a sense. You live in the present.
I live in the present. And what happened last night is there, and I'm gone on to the next thing. That's just the kind of thing.
Yeah. And okay, what brought you to St. Louis, Barry, way back?
I would say it was Sister Fabian.
Were you at school in Kiltama, was
yes,
it? Okay, as a boarder or as a digger?
As a digger.
Yeah. So you're from Kiltama, or you're from near it?
Near it, yeah. I think Sister Fabian and Sister Terence, those ones that taught in the primary school, you know, I just admire them and admire their prayers and, you know, and I suppose that started it. The secondary school then, Mary Clare, I suppose, and Evelyn.
Evelyn Connolly.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's...
So then it must have been a big change for you when you arrived in Monaghan, was it?
Oh, it was, especially because I wasn't a boarder. It was a big
So it was your first time away from home?
It wasn't actually, because I worked in the civil service for 2 years before I entered. So it wasn't, but at the same time, those who were boarders had a big advantage.
So were you in Dublin in the civil service, was it?
Yes,
okay. So what do you remember as being difficult or being good about the novitiate? Is that too far back to...
I think it is. I think it is. I suppose all of us being together and chatting and that, you know.
Yeah. And Mary, as well as being in Belfast, because you came in the 70s to Belfast, where were you before that? Were you in... Where else were you assigned?
I was in Bundoran for 1 year after profession, and then Colin Ballas had the bright idea that I would go to Africa, and I was there for 6 years, but I was home every 2 years.
Oh, was that Nigeria or Ghana?
Nigeria. And there was a time when I would have said that they were the happiest years of my life. I really enjoyed it. I had no big responsibility, but at the same time I did the accounts and I looked after the sick, you know, that kind of thing. And I really was very happy there.
Yeah, what house were you in?
Ondo.
Ondo, right, down the west though. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, so.
And then did you instigate coming home, or was it
my
put
mother
you?
wasn't my mother was ill, and as well as that they wanted me to go teacher training.
Okay.
So that's, you know, so it was a mixture of that and that. So even when I got trained, my mother was still alive, but she wasn't well, and my father wasn't well, so that kind of ended it all together.
And have you been back since?
No.
Would you think? No?
Not now. No. I wondered maybe a few years ago, but not now.
Yeah. And Mary, you know, when you think of, we'd say St. Louis, the congregation, and you think of, you know, the way we're always saying our charism is St. Unum and oneness and all of that, does that inspire you, or is that something you think about every now and then, or?
Maybe every now and then. Yes, maybe every now and then. I feel I have my own relationship with the Lord.
Of course.
You know, and my own way of living it out. You know. And
has that changed over the years? Like, you know, your image of God as a child and your image of God now, or?
Oh, well, it has changed. It has, yeah.
And now, who's God for you? Who do you say I am?
I know. Well, lots of answers to that, so.
Sure. Yeah. And I suppose no one image captures God.
No.
That's for sure. So what do you like to do? What gives you life? I know you're contending with bad health at the moment and with pain and all of that, but what keeps you going?
I suppose who I am and answering a call. I think that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. And I know you're involved here in the parish. Tell me about that.
Really, it's not as much at the parish as the safeguarding work, the paperwork.
Is that the diocese, is it, or the parish?
Just
That's the parish, yeah.
Just the parish.
Yeah, it's a service to the parish.
Yeah, and there's always things coming in because it's developing, and the safeguarding office, the diocesan safeguarding offices, is they're developing and changing things as the time goes on, or as they're become enlightened, I suppose, and then they pass on whatever changes they want made to the parishes. Everybody that has a role in the parish is vetted, but Anne every now and then has to get a group vetted for the work she's doing. So at the moment I had a lot of paperwork to do for 8 of them, to get them vetted.
8 of the youth leaders, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's always some little thing to be done. Now there's not a day's work, there might be just a day's work in the week, but you'd go down for a couple of hours 3 or 4 days a week.
That's a big investment of energy and a big service to the group, yeah.
So and I like that actually, because it's a sitting down job, and I'm trying to think how to get it organised in such a way that I can pass it on soon.
That's a very good way of approaching any task to see how it can be passed on.
Because if I get my knee done, I'd probably be getting the 2 knees done at different stages, so I'll be out of action for a while. But I'm saying I'm working on it. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's in the back of my mind anyway.
Which, the safeguarding or the knee?
What?
The safeguarding is at the back of your mind, is
yes.
it? Or, okay, yeah, the future of the safeguarding.
Future, yes,
right.
And getting things in order and shredding old stuff, and that. So.
And when you work in the parish like that, or when you go down, have you colleagues down there, or are you on? Are you working on your own?
The parish secretaries are there, and they have their own office naturally, and I have a little pokey place, but it's my own, and it's the filing cabinet with all this stuff is in it there.
Great. So Mary, for a while you helped out in the regional office.
Yes, I did. I lived in Monaghan 1 year, and a couple of years later in Dundalk. And I found it very interesting, especially living with the sisters and Our Ladies, mixing, and that I thought that's very good. And also knowing what was going on in the region, I thought that was good too. Because you never think that there's so much work to be done and so much, that. And I do like organising things and working, so I enjoy that too in both places. But
and was it at the stage when the regional office moved from Monaghan to Dundalk? Was that the way?
That was when I went to Dundalk, when they moved to there and helped out there and got it started.
Okay.
Got the office started there.
And were you with 2 different teams, or was it the same?
2 different teams.
Okay.
Yes, 2 different teams. I don't think there was any one of them. I forget now. That's me. I forget whether there was one from the Monaghan team in the Dundalk team. I can't remember. I think there was.
And when you were in Dundalk, where did you live?
I lived with Maeve O'Reilly in a house in the estate.
Oh right, I do remember that. I actually remember visiting you there one night. Yourself and Maeve were there.
That's right. Yes,
I know that you say that, I had completely forgotten.
Yes.
Good. So that was a great service.
And it was an experience too. It was good. It was good.
Right. Good. Well, thank you very much.